Hello, friends! Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the story. In October 2021, a young man walked into a police station in Salmiya, Kuwait. His whole body was shaking uncontrollably, his face pale, like he had seen death itself. Sweat was dripping down his forehead, even though the weather was cold. He stood in front of the officer, his voice trembling with fear. And he whispered just 3 words. "Officer, please, help me." Then he took a deep breath and said something that changed everything. "There's a crime in my house, hidden for 5 years, and the evidence is still there right now, in the back room behind a wall." At first, the officer thought he was crazy, maybe high on drugs, or just another prank call. But there was something in the young man's eyes, pure terror, real fear, that made the officer believe him. So 3 police officers followed him home, a normal house in a quiet neighborhood, painted white, flowers in front, nothing suspicious from the outside. But the moment they stepped inside, the smell hit them first. Then they saw something that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. They had just discovered one of the most shocking crimes in the entire history of Kuwait. But to understand how this nightmare began, we have to go back, all the way back to the late 1990s, when a man named Abdulaziz decided to get married, the usual way, to a woman named Ibtisam. The marriage started normal, just like any other couple. The first few years were good. They were trying to know each other, building a new life together. In less than 5 years, they had 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 daughter. Her name was Dalal. From the outside, the house looked peaceful. White walls, flowers in front. A perfect family, right? But inside, there was a problem. A problem that grew bigger every single day. Abdulaziz felt suffocated. He was not comfortable in his own home, not for 1 second. Because he discovered that Ibtisam was a different person. Not the woman he imagined. She was aggressive. Her voice was always loud. She wanted everyone to obey her, to follow her orders no matter what. She was harsh with the kids, even with Abdulaziz. As time passed, the fights got worse, much worse. Between Abdulaziz and Ibtisam, the whole house became chaos. Loud voices, insults, anger. Day after day, it only got worse. And the worst part? The kids were the real victims, living in fear, in constant fights, with no peace, no safety, nothing. Finally, Abdulaziz realized this life was impossible. He had to end it for his kids. So in 2005, he made a decision. He divorced Ibtisam and thought the suffering was over. In court, the judge decided Abdulaziz would take the oldest son, and Ibtisam would take Dalal and the 2 younger boys. Abdulaziz felt relief. He thought the nightmare was finally over. He thought his kids were safe now. But he was wrong. So wrong. Because the moment of divorce was not the end. It was just the beginning of a much darker nightmare. Ibtisam moved with the 3 kids to a new house in Salmiya, and there she realized something. She was completely alone, responsible for 3 kids by herself, and as a divorced woman, she felt judged by society. What would she do with the kids? Could she protect them and herself, or not? This question haunted Ibtisam in the first years after the divorce. Her fear became extreme. She was terrified for her children, so terrified that she locked the door and refused to let them go outside. No playing, no friends, no street, because she was afraid for them. And her fear grew stronger every single day. Because Ibtisam read the news. Every day she read the crime section. Kidnappings, assaults, murders, children disappearing every week. The more she read, the more she feared. The more she feared, the more she locked them in, until her fear turned into a sickness, an obsession that controlled her. Ibtisam always saw her kids right in front of her eyes, but at the same time, she was scared. So she thought, if I don't control them now, I will never control them later, especially without their father. So she decided she must be the father too. She must be strict, tough, controlling. But unfortunately, while she focused on being the father, she completely forgot to be the mother. She became harsh, extremely harsh with her children. Anyone who made a mistake, or even a small mistake,
the punishment became violent. Her voice would rise. She would scream and insult them with the ugliest words and curses. And after a while, the punishment got worse. It moved from yelling to hitting, with her hands and with objects, anything she could grab. And in the middle of all this, the father, Abdulaziz, was trying. He was doing his best. After the divorce in 2005, the court gave him a ruling. He could visit his kids once a week, just to check on them. He would take his oldest son with him so he could see his brothers and sister. But Ibtisam, she refused. She prevented him completely from seeing his own children. Even when he called the police, she would slam the door in his face and in front of the officers. Here, Abdulaziz had a choice. He could fight and cause violence, or he could walk away to keep peace. And he chose to walk away, better than using force.
As time passed, the children started noticing their father's absence for long periods. So they asked Ibtisam about their dad. They said, "We miss him. We want to see him." And at that moment, Ibtisam snapped. She used cigarettes to burn parts of their bodies just because they asked about their father. When Abdulaziz found out and saw the burn marks, he rushed to the house, broke in by force. He took the children and rushed them to the hospital. The doctors reported it to the police. A case was filed against Ibtisam. But in the end, the father and the children dropped the case, so they wouldn't cause bigger problems. From that day, Abdulaziz felt guilty. He felt like he was the reason for what happened, because every time he tried to see them, or every time they tried to see him, it always ended with a fight or with punishment. So he made a decision. He would withdraw completely from their lives. He would just ask about them sometimes. But he kept paying their expenses and their school fees regularly through the court to make sure they didn't need anything.
Abdulaziz simply gave up his rights. He gave up his right to see his children, just so they could live in peace. He thought his silence would calm Ibtisam. He thought it would make her realize what she was doing was wrong. But that day was the beginning of a new nightmare. Dalal was the only daughter. Dalal was normal, like any girl her age. She loved to laugh, she loved friends, she loved to go out. She had one dream: to live a normal life. But her dreams crashed against Ibtisam's control. When Dalal grew up and entered middle school, Ibtisam started watching her more than the others. Because Ibtisam saw that Dalal's laughter, her jokes, her going out with friends were dangerous
to the family's reputation. So Ibtisam made a decision. She banned Dalal from leaving the house. Except for school. From home to school. From school back home. That was it.
And when Dalal objected, the punishment, as usual, was very harsh. It became obvious on Dalal, to the point that anyone who visited the house, their heart would break seeing her and what was happening to her. They would tell her mother, "This is haram." They would ask her, "Why are you doing this to her?" And Ibtisam would reply with complete coldness. She would say, "No one interferes between me and my daughter. I know how to raise her. I know how to protect her from mistakes." Ibtisam, first and last, was a mother, afraid for her daughter. But while doing that, unfortunately, she destroyed her and changed her life completely. The strange thing was that Dalal was an obedient girl. She listened all the time. She wasn't rebellious or defiant. Until one day, she gathered her courage. She talked to her mother. She begged her, "Please stop this method. All my friends and my teachers, they've started noticing marks on my face and my hands." And instead of the mother softening her heart, Ibtisam snapped. "So you're coming to teach me how to raise you?" Dalal was shocked by her mother's reaction. She went back to her room, broken. She lost hope that this life could ever change. As for Ibtisam, she felt no regret, not even a trace of guilt. Instead, she sat down and planned one of the most devilish plans you will ever hear. At the start of 2016, Ibtisam decided to ban Dalal from school completely, so she could rest her mind from friends and teachers. But she needed a strong excuse, a real reason that would make people believe that it was better for Dalal to quit school. And that's when the devilish plan began. Ibtisam had hallucinogenic pills at home. Some sources say they were her own psychiatric pills because Ibtisam was mentally ill. Others say they were sleeping pills she bought. And one day, Ibtisam crushed the pills, put them in a glass of juice, and made Dalal drink it. Dalal was shocked by her mother's reaction. She went back to her room, broken. She lost hope that this life could ever change. As for Ibtisam, she felt no regret, not even a trace of guilt. Instead, she sat down and planned one of the most devilish plans you will ever hear. At the start of 2016, Ibtisam decided to ban Dalal from school completely, so she could rest her mind from friends and teachers. But she needed a strong excuse, a real reason that would make people believe that it was better for Dalal to quit school. And that's when the devilish plan began. Ibtisam had hallucinogenic pills at home. Some sources say they were her own psychiatric pills because Ibtisam was mentally ill. Others say they were sleeping pills she bought. And one day, Ibtisam crushed the pills, put them in a glass of juice, and made Dalal drink it. Ibtisam acted shocked at first. She acted like she couldn't believe her daughter did that. Then she begged the doctor. In the end, she asked him to cover for Dalal and not report to police. And she actually made him feel sorry for her. He told her, "I won't report it to police, but you need to take care of your daughter." Ibtisam and her daughter went back home. But this time, she went back victorious, because now she had a strong card. She could use it against anyone who criticized her, her way of raising her daughter.
And just 1 week later, Ibtisam got an official summons from the school administration. But she didn't panic and she didn't fight. She was ready and prepared. Ibtisam prepared herself and went to school. She sat in the principal's office, and the principal, after welcoming her, started talking seriously about the reason for the bruises and wounds on Dalal's hands and face, and why Dalal was always spaced out, not focused in class, and her grades that had dropped. At the end, she told her clearly that they suspected Dalal was being abused by her mother or someone in the family, especially because Dalal had told her classmates before that she wasn't comfortable at home and she wanted to escape, but she didn't know how. And when Ibtisam heard the principal's words, she started crying. She played the role of the oppressed mother. And calmly, she opened her bag. She took out the clinic medical report and handed it to the principal. She told her, "I found traces of drug substances in my daughter's blood test, and I don't know where Dalal got these drugs or how. Her nature is rebellious, and her morals are not good. That's why I used to hit her, so I could raise her and make her listen." Of course, the principal was shocked by the mother's words and her excuse. She couldn't say anything. And Ibtisam took the principal's silence as approval that she wanted to protect her daughter. And that's why she decided to keep her home, and she wouldn't let her go to school again until her condition improved and she recovered from the drugs she was taking. And with this terrifying acting, the plan was complete. Ibtisam's ability to deceive the principal and control Dalal's life completely. Ibtisam went back home, furious. She grabbed Dalal and punished her because Dalal just thought about escaping and opened up to the school supervisor. But this time, the punishment was different. Ibtisam locked Dalal inside a private bathroom. She completely banned her from going out. Everyone would open the door, put food for her, and close it again. And this situation continued for a full month until Dalal reached a difficult stage. She started begging her mother and screaming with her voice. Maybe someone would hear her and save her? And actually, the neighbors heard the sound, and they complained to the building guard. Then he went to Ibtisam and told her that the neighbors were annoyed by the noise coming from her apartment. But Ibtisam didn't flinch at all. She controlled the situation coldly and said to him, "Okay, I'll calm the noise down a bit." You would expect here that Ibtisam's heart would soften and she'd feel sorry for Dalal. But the shock was that she continued with her in the same situation. After that situation, Ibtisam closed all the windows in the bathroom and the room so the sound wouldn't get out and the neighbors wouldn't complain again. She started going in only once a day to put food and leave. With time, Dalal reached a state no human being could bear, and after a period of what was happening, she couldn't eat anymore. And when the mother came in every day, she found yesterday's food exactly as it was. She thought Dalal was pretending and pressuring her to get out of that place. So she left her like that, imagining that when she got hungry, she would eat by force. But after a few days, the mother entered the house with a food tray, as usual. But this time, she was shocked when she found her not responding. And she discovered that she had died. Ibtisam, when she realized the disaster, she asked for help from no one. She didn't even call the police. She assumed she would deny everything and hide it as if nothing happened. She blocked the bathroom door with wooden pieces, so if anyone thought of opening it, they couldn't. And she also locked the room door with a key and continued her day normally. But the next day, the smell of the body started spreading in the house. And when the mother noticed the smell, she immediately started closing all the vents of the central air conditioning in the apartment so the smell wouldn't reach the rest of the neighbors or go outside the house. And she also bought a large quantity of separate air conditioners and distributed them all over the house. And she focused more on the room next to the bathroom so no one would smell and discover the crime she committed. And Ibtisam actually succeeded in hiding the traces of the crime completely. And long years passed until we reached year 5. 5 full years went by without anyone discovering Ibtisam's crime. The body was still in the bathroom. No one saw it, and no one felt it for the entire 5 years. The air conditioners were running non-stop, and the room and bathroom were sealed, and life went on completely normal. Ibtisam told the kids that their sister had run away, so no one asked about her for the whole 5 years.
And the father was completely ignoring them. And he didn't know anything about what happened to his daughter. And her teachers knew that she left school completely and was staying at home. Meaning, Ibtisam, with all her intelligence, for 5 full years managed to hide a crime she committed against her own daughter inside her house without anyone discovering it. Until the day came that Ibtisam never expected. In October, year 2021, Ibtisam was fighting as usual with one of her sons. She started yelling at him and cursing him and threatening to hit him. And in the middle of the fight, the sentence that exposed Ibtisam's crime slipped out. She told her son, "Be quiet or I'll kill you, like I killed your sister." At that moment, the son who was threatened didn't speak at all. God knows if he already knew about the crime and stayed silent, or if it was the first time he heard it, but he was scared to talk. The important thing is, the other son who was listening to the fight, he thought about his mother's words and connected it to the room and bathroom that had been locked for years. And her missing sister had been gone for 5 years too. He waited until his mother fell asleep. He took the key from her quietly. He opened the room door. He found the bathroom door blocked with wooden pieces. He tried with all his strength to remove the pieces until a part of the bathroom was revealed. The boy looked inside and saw a shock that changed his life forever. He saw a skeleton standing in the bathroom, frozen in place. He hesitated for a moment, confused, not knowing what to do. But then he made his decision. He went straight to the police station and reported everything he saw. And the police moved immediately to the scene. They discovered a skeleton in the bathroom. Then they arrested the mother and her son and started the investigation with them. The children denied that they knew anything about the crime, but Ibtisam confessed that she locked Dalal. She completely denied that she killed her on purpose. Until the last moment, Ibtisam believed she was right in everything she did. She said, "I didn't make a mistake. I was raising my daughter and protecting her." But Dalal was rebellious and stupid.
She went on hunger strike until she died. But the court didn't believe the mother's words. In the year 2022, Ibtisam was sentenced to life in prison. And thus ends one of the strangest crimes in Kuwait's history. The hardest part of this crime is that Ibtisam all the time believed she was protecting her daughter. And that is the most dangerous point in the whole story.
The central person can convince themselves that deficiency is love, and that control and violence is protection. What happened to Dalal was not a sudden crime, nor a moment of anger. It was a deliberate crime that lasted for years. And the accused is not just Ibtisam, but every person who saw signs of violence on Dalal and in the end stayed silent and didn't speak. All of them helped Ibtisam by their silence about what happened and their acceptance. This is not just a central mother who killed her daughter. This is deliberate violence that happens daily in thousands of homes all over the Arab world. I hope this phenomenon ends in our Arab nation, and we never hear stories like it again. And the story is over. See you in the next episode, God willing. Goodbye.